Welcome on Easy Learning. Now in a story of English, I am going to read fourth chapter, Middle English. In this part of the video, I will only read the chapter, and in the other parts of the videos, I will explain them one after other. Chapter 4, Middle English. The year AD 1066 is generally taken to be the end of the Old English period, but Middle English came into existence after a gap of almost a century. For the reasons stated earlier, thus Middle English period is accepted to be from AD 1150 to 1500. At each end there is a period of transition when the language seems to be in a state of flux. Two significant events distinguish Middle and Modern English. These are A. the introduction of printing technology and B. the Great Vowel Shift. Today it is impossible to think and imagine a world without the printing machine. The printing press, set up by William Caxton at the Westminster Abbey, England in AD 1476, has played a historic role in the development of English because it helped to standardize the language. While Middle English was dialectical, Modern English is a standard language, though it also has regional and international varieties. The other major linguistic change, known as the Great Vowel Shift, involved a series of changes in the pronunciation of the English long vowels. The changes began in about AD 1400 and were fully established by the end of the Middle period. These phonological changes are seen as the last barrier between the English of the early times and that of now. Dialects of Middle English. One of the most striking features of Middle English was the fact that dialects of Middle English existed in both spoken and written form. There was no single literary standard, and the language varied from county to county. Further, Old English had 4 dialects, but Middle English had one more. They were known as Northern, Southern, East Midland, West Midland, and Kentish. Only the last remains unchanged. The Northumbrian of Old English is now called Northern, West Saxon is now Southern, and Mercian is divided into 2 dialects, which came to be known as East Midland and West Midland dialect. Modern English has evolved from the East Midland dialect. A number of factors together with geographical considerations led to a situation where the East Midland dialect became the most important and useful to the people of this age. Middle English vocabulary. The most important linguistic impact of French role in England was that a large number of French words entered the language. Many of these words are related to the dignity and honor of the royal office. Some of these words are royalty, realm, homage, prince, princess, duke, duchess, palace, castle, hall, and sovereign. The French influence was gradual but significant during the 13th and 14th centuries. According to one estimate, about 10,000 new words were brought over from the French into English during this time. Out of these, almost 75% are in use today. These words are related to law, literature, administration, religion, fashion. Another dominant influence on Middle English was that of Latin. Some of the words from Latin came directly, but some entered through French and were words related to science, medicine, law, and literature. Some of the borrowed words are history, index, intellect, legal, magnify, picture, genius, summary, substitute, temperature, magnify, private, etc. Middle English grammar. The Middle English period witnessed extensive and fundamental changes in the phonological and grammatical system in English. The changes in the grammatical system reduced English from a highly inflected language to an analytical one. Due to certain phonetic changes in the language, the word endings that served as markers of number, gender, case, and tense were so altered in their pronunciation as to lose their distinctive form, and therefore their usefulness. All but a few Old English noun, verb, and adjective endings died, and grammatical relations began to be indicated by fixed patterns of word order. Thus, the gradual loss of inflections and the fixing of word order were the most important changes during this period. Another major phenomenon to have occurred during this time is known as the Great Vowel Shift. When we compare the Middle and modern consonant systems, we find very little different between them, but the vowel systems are very different. This is because between Middle English and our times, the long vowels have changed considerably, but the short vowels have remained almost the same. The series of changes affecting the long vowels of Middle English is known as the Great Vowel Shift. Middle English literature. Middle English literature reflects quite accurately the changing fortunes of English. The early literature of this phase, AD 1150 to AD 1215, is exclusively religious in nature. During this period, the upper class mainly patronized French literature, and English writers could not expect support or patronage from them. It was the church and their leaders who were keen to spread the religion and so promoted native literature. The second phase of this period, AD 1250 to AD 1350, displays a tendency to variety and dialectical subdivision. In addition to the religious writings, there are also some secular works. Many of these were translations of popular French romances. Lay of Havelock the Dane, written in Midland dialect, is a good example. This poem shows clearly that the old inflections are all gone, and the vocabulary is almost unmixed with French. Two other works of this period which contain a high proportion of French words are the Romaunt of the Rose, written by Geoffrey Chaucer, and the Romance of King Alexander. The second half of the 14th century, AD 1314 to 1400, is known as the period of great individual writers. This phase is also referred to as the classical Middle English. The notable writers of this period are Chaucer, John Gower, William Langland, and John Wycliffe. The following are the well-known works of these writers who have made this an outstanding age. Well-known works of these writers: Chaucer, the Prologue to the Canterbury Tales, the Canterbury Tales; Gower, Meditantes, Vox Clementis, Confessio Amentis; Langland, Piers the Plowman; Wycliffe, Bible translation. The other great works of this period are by unknown authors, but this in no way diminishes their importance. These are the Pearl and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. The latter is considered one of the greatest examples of English poetry. The universally accepted pinnacles of poetic achievements are the works of Chaucer, which provide a great amount of information about medieval life and times. Thus, Chaucer's works are the major sources of information about Middle English grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation.